finally this has revealed its secrets, this fiberglass, because it's just foam inside that with fiberglass either side. So to join it, I've had to come up with a solution which works really, really well, and that is domino. So that's a domino machine, and it puts a slot. That's the slot it puts in. And what you do is you've got to router out all of these first, and you put this resin, solid resin, you glue that in there, and then once that's glued in, that's when you use this machine. And that's a domino there, and they just go into there, and you glue into that and whatever you're going to butt up to it. And it's when that dries with the epoxy, that is as solid as, absolutely solid, which means that the weight of it is probably about the same as the lightest weight plywood. The difference is, this is the strength of this. And I've worked with steel and aluminium most of my life. It's compatible to that. Probably more steel than aluminium. Just the strength is ridiculous. And so that ain't going nowhere. You could probably drive your car over that. And then this will be glued into the caravan. And once that glues into the caravan, then it becomes basically a mono construction caravan. Looks just like a car. So all compatible. So because I wanted to do it in fiberglass or this material, because that's what the van is made of, and what it does is the forces, it comes from the same genre, so the forces are going to be compatible. What goes through the van walls and the roof and the floor will go through the cabinets, and so its response to forces will be exactly the same. So you don't have wood against fiberglass, because they handle forces totally different. Whereas if you have it all in the same genre of material, then what happens is it absorbs it throughout a greater area, and makes everything a lot stronger as well. So that's why I did it in that. But there's a lot of secrets about it, and I'll show you those secrets. The first secret that I had to learn was that the material itself has no strength. So if I take that there has absolutely no strength, because this is just foam, and you can pretty much just get that and you can squash it, and there's no strength in that. Nothing will stick to that except fiberglass. Over a large area, things stick pretty good, but in small areas like this where I'm going to be joining cabinets, it's no good. So what I had to do was I had to take that foam out down to about a bit over 10 mil, and then fill that up with some resin. And as you can see, all around the edges are all resin. Now that'll all be edge banded, so you won't see any of this. But you can see in here the difference in colour. That's one of those bits of solid resin blocks that I had. And if you go into here, you'll see it's to put the hinges in. And so there's another one in here, and there's another one up there, and there, and there. And if I look in here, and there, and here. In fact, anywhere where you need to screw anything into this, you can actually put this as a thread. It's very solid. It has to have that in it. So there's the engineering that's gone into this has been just stupidly insane. And but it's been good. It's been good. So that was the first secret, is that these edges, they have got to be all solid, okay? And that's not very thick. That's probably only goes down to about here. So, but it's enough. It's enough to make it solid. And then you can, it ain't moving. So then the other thing I had to learn was this stuff, how to work with this stuff here. You can cut it on a bandsaw, which is fantastic. It works really, really well. And I had to learn had to make up a jig to make sure that it didn't go all the way in here, so that when I drilled with a special drill that I got, that it was in the right depth that it needed to pick up a screw or something else that needed to the strength. And so this here I had to learn to work with that. Then the next thing I had to learn to work with was this and this is the whole van. That's how I glue everything together. Just in those two thingos there, the whole van is put together, which is ridiculous. And this is the glue, 2-pack, and just got some sticks and got some thingos there to mix it up on. And I had to, you got 5-minute stuff and you got 24, 48-hour stuff. And it all, I had to study a lot in glue. It took me months just to study glue in itself. If you have too hard a glue, it'll be too brittle. Too soft a glue, and it won't be able to handle any vibration. So you have to have glue for certain things. So this one here is a brittle glue that I've used, or epoxy, on the cabinets. But when I put it into the van itself, it will be the same glue, which has got a bit of it's like a rubberized glue. It'll be the same as what the van walls are put together in on all caravans. It's the same glue. So what happens is this will be solid, and that 2 mil filler of glue where this cabinet goes onto the van, it will absorb the forces way better. Rather, this won't be like jelly. This is dead solid. And so I had to learn to work with all this sort of stuff and learn glues, and I'm still learning about glues. How to work with it. I've made up lots of little jigs and handheld tools and all the rest of it to make it a lot easier. But that's probably been a good 6-8 month journey, just glues alone. And I've had some really, really good advice, I might add. Really good advice. I spoke to some wonderful people that have helped out. So without that, there's nothing on YouTube, but without that, this wouldn't have happened this far. Another secret is I had to learn what solvent, because you're using a lot of solvents. You're using some pretty fancy glues or epoxies, and they need to be cleaned with a certain chemical. And so I had to find chemicals that it'll just eat into that. It just eats it like a cancer. So you can't get any on that at all, not a drop. Otherwise, you've just lost that bit of material. So you could spend hours and hours and hours, over days on something. And if you've got a little bit of that exposed and some of the chemicals, the cleaning chemicals get into it, you've lost the whole piece, so you throw it in the bin. I know these things. Now, another thing I had to learn was to hide the wiring. So there's wires that go through. For instance, this is not only a way to stop things coming out. This is on its back. So stop things sliding out. But it also, and I'll show you in a minute, it's actually got an LED in this at the back, which shines up into the cabinet. So when you open the cabinet, the light comes on. But there's a wire that goes in there and then goes back down and out the back and picks up the 12-volt circuit in the back of all that, which I'll show you soon. So I've got a very long drill, but you've got to make sure that whatever you put in here, so in here, these little channels that you put in, you've got to glue them in with a special glue so they don't move and they don't take away from the strength of the cabinet. And so I've got these, which are the Kevlar, the pultrusion Kevlar, and pultrusion is a whole subject in itself. And they're about 10 mil, they're hollow all the way through, but they're solid. If you look at this, that's a high pitch. That means that's got a lot of strength. And so I put those through everywhere and you glue them in. And now you've got these little channels that go all through. So all of this has got little channels that go here, there, and everywhere. And you've got to know that ahead of time because you can't put it in later on. So you've got to put it in before you start gluing it all up. So the engineering was a bit of a nightmare, a few sleepless nights, but we got there and it all worked really well. So happy about that. Now, the other thing is this stuff chips. This edge chips really, really easily. So what you have to do is when you're cutting it, you have to just put your saw up so it doesn't go in too deep. So it just cuts through the white. And what that does is it doesn't chip out. And it leaves a nice clean edge all the way along. And so as you can see there, that's both nice clean sharp edges. And what happens is if you don't do that, it just chips out and it looks really, really bad. So you put it, so every time I do, let's say just one of these cuts, it's a few cuts. So you do one side, you put it, just basically you're breaking the white, then you flip the panel over and you cut from the other side and it breaks the white. And then what you do is you cut halfway this side, flip it over and cut the other way. So you're doing a whole bunch of cuts just to get one nice clean cut. But that's the only way to do it. Otherwise, you'll get an ugly look. It's got to be sharp the whole time. Okay, a bit of fun stuff now. So these here are put there just as a guardrail to stop anything from sliding out of the door or sliding out against that. But it serves two purposes. So it not only does that, but if we look behind it, just close that. You will see that it's actually an LED on this side. Oops, I'll get back a little bit. Yeah, so that's got an LED strip which actually points up towards the back inside of the cabinet. So, and what it'll have, spin that around, sorry about the running around with the camera. What it'll do up here, I've got little sensors so that when that's up, the lights come on, which is just the other side of that. And when the cabinet is closed, the lights go off. And I don't know whether we need lights in a cabinet. Got no idea, but let's put them there. So we've got some more lights here, which is at the bottom. These are an LED strip. The ones inside the cabinet are just straight white, but these are multicolored, so you can, on your phone, you can make these do all sorts of things. All the cabinets will have these lights, and in here there is a hole that takes the wires back inside to the relay box. It's going to be lit up like Luna Park. So many lights. But these lights here, so you might, if you feel like you're in a mellow kind of mood, you can either talk into Siri. You'll have it already set up, of course. Talking to Siri is, I don't know, just go 70s music. And what will happen is it'll just say 70s music happy. And what will happen is it can actually make all these lights in a happy colour, whatever the AI has chosen. And then the music starts and it's a playlist that you've already organised and put in there. So, and then it does all sorts of other things. So you could, these are white as well. So, it'll have a switch. So when you switch on underneath all the cabinets, they'll just be white. That'll be the default. But if you want to play, then you go on your phone and you can play with it. We'll actually have a tablet for all of this sort of stuff that'll stay in the car and also in the van, just a mobile one, because we'll be able to use this for our 360 cameras when you're reversing, which means it looks like a bird's eye view of when you're reversing your car in your caravan. You'll be able to turn your air conditioner on as you're driving along. If you want to stop in a half an hour's time, you want the van to be nice and cool or the heater on, you'll be able to do all that ahead of time. If you're away from your van, you've got your phone as well. It's all compatible, so you can just log in and just turn your front light on if you forgot to put it on when you left. Maybe get the heater going or the air conditioner going while you're away. The van itself has actually got its own internet outside of Starlink, so it's all very good until you're out of range, of course. But for our kind of travelling, most of it will be in 5G range and that. So whatever's on my phone will talk to this van so long as we're both in range. So now the next thing is this is going to have a wooden veneer through here, and it'll have a one strip will be a bit of veneered wood, and then it'll have a border which will stick up slightly. The border will only be 3 or 4 mil thickness or width of timber in a different material, in a nice white. And so and that's going to be the same as the cabinets down underneath. That'll be for the doors to open. So it'll all look compatible. So what we did is went and here's the timber over here. So there's the I think here that looks like it there. That there is the strip that I'll cut out, and then I'll slice it up. So one will become a veneer and the other one will become the door handles down the bottom, so they'll look the same. This is the border. Oh, this is, sorry, this is Queensland maple. And I'd love to say the name of this. It sounds like some Asian name, but apparently it's very popular in Australia. I've never heard of it before, but anyway. And that's the white. So that's a contrast, and that will be the little edge or border strip, which will get, so the cupboard will be actually like a 3D. It'll have a nice radius on the top of it, and that'll be throughout the whole of the van. This is as light as a feather, this stuff. It's a hardwood, but I had to get something that was light and hard. You're not going to use a lot of this material anyway. It's going to be pretty minimal, but it'll just accent it throughout the whole van. So, and it's only for the cupboards. We probably won't put it anywhere else. Actually, we will be putting it somewhere else. The cupboard drawers, they will have it. The fascias will be the same as a normal cupboard, but the interior will be made out of this Queensland maple as well, and then it'll have nice dovetailed joints. And depending on weight, we might have some nice undermounts, so you don't see any mounting on the side of the brackets there. They're about, I think they're about $100 each drawer for the special slide outs, but it just depends on weight because they are heavy. But it would look really, really good, look pretty classy. Yeah, so finally, could you sort of manufacture what I'm doing here? Look, you probably could. Now that I know how to do it, you could do it with a CNC machine. So for instance, wherever you needed something in here or whatever, before you did your sandwich, you'd make sure all those bits and pieces were all routed out with it, that's going to be having screws or anything in. You can do all that on the computer quite easily. Then you would glue it all over, which is what they do now when they're putting in the some of the channels to run wires through. They do that now. So you would just be a lot more channels and a lot more intricate. You probably wouldn't mass produce doing it that way. I think it'd still be just too time consuming, even doing it that way. However, if somebody liked a particular brand caravan, and they could certainly gear up for this and do like a bespoke caravans for people. As far as building one of, for somebody like me, it would, I used to make cars, like prototypes and that sort of stuff. So that was out of steel and aluminium mostly. And so the car would look magnificent when it was done, but it would be 3 times the cost of a Ferrari. Would it be 3 times better than a Ferrari? Probably not, but it would certainly be unique, and no one else would ever have that. Some of these cars that I used to do are, I think one went for 24 million. So I wanted to experiment to see whether or not you can make a complete van out of the same material that the roof and the walls were made out of. Everything. So there's absolutely nothing in it except the same. It's all from the same family: resins, epoxies, fiberglass, foams, all basically from the chemical family. And the only bit of timber will be the bit of veneering and the door handles, which is nothing really. It's only just aesthetics. So I just wanted to see whether you could do it. You actually can, and it's bloody good. It's bloody strong. Can't believe how strong it is. Not forgiving at all. Zero forgiveness in doing it. So that's another thing that manufacturers would need to know. But could you do it? Absolutely. And I'm sure there's going to be somebody out there sooner or later that's going to catch on to this. And I don't know whether the market's there for people who want bespoke vans designed specifically for their needs, right down to where they want the LEDs. I've got no idea.